Do you know the biggest risk that you have going into retirement? It's not some crazy market crash. It's not interest rates. It's not political winds. It's sequence of return risk. So we know from research that the couple years leading up to retirement and the couple years immediately following your retirement date are the most precarious. They are the ones that can make or break your retirement, and your investment strategy needs to reflect this heightened risk as you approach retirement. You need to shift from accumulation type investments to probably some more defensive, conservative investments. This is not advice, but you should be thinking about how your investments should change as you enter this very precious and fragile period where you prior to retirement and the years after retirement, if you get bad market returns, it can significantly heighten the chances that you will run out of money in retirement. So how can we address this? The ABCs of retirement income planning today is letter B, and we're going to be discussing buffer assets. So what are buffer assets? Buffer assets are simply anything that you can park into a conservative investment. And it could even be the cash value that you have inside of a life insurance policy. It could be home equity inside your primary or secondary home. It could also be something like bonds or CDs. So really conservative investments that are there to insulate you and offer a buffer against bad market returns when it matters most. We understand that the market will go down at some point over the course of your retirement, probably several times. And annually we see market declines, but significant prolonged downturns, we should expect at least several of those if we have a multi-decade retirement. So we need a way to protect ourselves and allow our portfolio the option to recover without dipping into the portfolio after the market already made the portfolio value go down. So buffer assets give us a way to pay our expenses while we're allowing our portfolio to recover. Because if you were to raid your portfolio the way you had been prior to that market decline, and you took out whatever you need to pay your expenses, could be $80, $100, $120,000 for the year, whatever, you would be then asking that much more of your portfolio and the returns that will be needed to lift it back up to where it was before, or at least getting it going in the right direction again. So buffer assets are essentially just a way to make sure that you have another option, a safety outlet valve that you can reach into and say, you know what, I'm going to give my portfolio some more time to recover. And in the meantime, here's how I'm going to pay my expenses. So this is a different take on the bucketing strategy. And if you haven't already watched the video that I made earlier about the bucketing strategy, it'll play after this one. And I highly encourage you to watch that one to familiarize yourself with that time segmentation, AKA bucketing strategy to retirement income. But the buffer assets are crucial, and they are related to the bucketing strategy in a way, because we are talking about similar investments that would allow us to give ourselves a little breathing room between whatever is going on in the market and the portfolio that we're using to generate income for ourselves. So back to the crux of buffer asset strategy. You have money that's tied up in the primary home, for example. So you could tap that via a line of credit or maybe a reverse mortgage that would allow you to take some money out of the asset that's otherwise illiquid, pay your bills, and hopefully give your portfolio time to recover. We know that most recoveries, even the worst ones, it can take a few years to recover, but eventually they do. So this gives you an option to let the full principal of the portfolio recover instead of the principal less whatever you were taking out along the way in the interim for your expenses, because that will make it that much harder for your portfolio to climb out of whatever that market induced hole looks like. So the buffer assets, they can be bonds, CDs, they could be your home equity, they can be cash value inside a life insurance policy, and they give you breathing room. They help you relieve the stress and anxiety of, oh my gosh, I had $2 million, market decline comes along, now I have 1.6, and I'm going to take out an additional 100,000 for my expenses and taxes on top of that. So it gives that portfolio time to recover while you can go about living your life. And it just introduces a measure of safety to your withdrawal strategy if you were relying on the portfolio to generate the money you need to pay your bills. How much should you keep as a buffer asset? That really is a highly personal question, because we know that markets do recover on average within a few years of a serious decline. But that's really only what's happened before. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. So if you're the kind of person who would like to be prepared for the hell or high water scenario, then your buffer asset pot would look a little bit different than somebody who is preparing for the average scenario. So it really depends on if you're trying to prepare for a black swan type decline, or if you're trying to prepare for some of the declines that we have seen before that are more extreme than your garden variety annual market declines. So there's two different paths that you can take to build your buffer asset pot or portfolio. Some folks like to keep what ends up being a lot of money as buffer assets to cover the full length of market declines and the recovery. And that means they need to have a lot of money set aside in these buffer assets. Now, if you have a portfolio of $2 to $5 million, this may not be a problem for you. But for some folks, it's just too much to watch that much cash sit on the sidelines or tied up in assets that are just really not that productive. The second option to build the buffer asset portfolio is to use the money that you're going to set aside for these buffer assets and just assume that this is my working capital. I'm going to spend this money. I have a great resource for you. In this video's description, there's going to be a link to a retirement income assessment tool. It's totally free. And what it's going to do is help you uncover what kind of retirement income is going to be best for you. So if the buffer assets strategy spoke to you in any way, I highly recommend that you complete the retirement income assessment. And even if the buffer asset strategy doesn't sound like something you'd be interested in, I still recommend that you take the retirement income assessment tool, because it will help you uncover another strategy that may be better for you. Hi, my name is Brendan Dooley. I'm a retirement income planner and a certified financial planner practitioner. I help people take the decades worth of savings that they've been doing, usually worth $2 to $5 million, and turn it into a tremendous, reliable paycheck in retirement to help them enjoy a great life after they're done working. So if this video was helpful, I hope you'll like it. Subscribe to my channel. And if you would like to hear more about something, please be sure to leave a comment and I'll get back to you. See you at the next video.